Fez was one of the early games that helped define the indie scene on consoles. Its bumpy history and legacy made it a highly anticipated Xbox Live title and a controversial title years after it was released. To see it now on Nintendo Switch out of the blue was a welcome surprise, as it was one of the best original indie games and a puzzle platformer unlike any other. While it felt perfect on my PlayStation Vita, it feels more at home now with Nintendo Switch. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, maybe hit the bell icon, and share the video with your friends if you find it useful. Now let's get into this review, starting with its story. Fez takes place in a beautiful 2D world that finds a mix between retro art and a modern take on it. You play as Gomez, a villager with a magical fez that lets him warp the world between 2D and 3D. Sadly, that comes at the price of the world falling apart between multiple dimensions. Now with this high-tech fez in hand, Gomez must traverse the corrupted world around him, seeking out cubes with the power to put the world back together. In regards to story and lore, there's plenty of it, though it's hidden through the environmental storytelling. It's there if you look for it, but for those that glance over it, it's a game with an interesting gameplay premise, where you're just tasked to collect hidden cubes. While I do love this lore and world, I think it would have been great for it to be a bit more accessible to the casual player. A lot of the smaller details have to be sought after, and I can see the story behind the game being lost on someone just jumping in blind. In many ways, Fez reminds me of the Nintendo game design philosophy of creating one interesting game mechanic and fleshing it out throughout the entirety of the campaign with complementary sub-mechanics. We saw this with the Flood Water Pack in Super Mario Sunshine, Gravity Warping in Super Mario Galaxy, and the Hat Capture in Super Mario Odyssey. And for Fez, it's the point of view change. This single mechanic is the entire concept behind Fez, and it's marvelous. With Gomez's Fez, he's able to warp between the 2D and 3D plane to show a new perspective of his environment. Viewing something from the front can look completely different from the right side and then react differently in 2D view. For example, being on the edge of a cliff may look like just a naked ruin, but from its side, there's a trail of vines that could let you climb down the cliff. It's a mechanic so fascinating that even now playing it for my third playthrough, I don't feel 100% comfortable with this game as an easy breeze. Puzzles I've completed before still get me to scratch my head years later, and I think that speaks to the level design of how intricate and well thought out they are. The game doesn't really give you power-ups or new abilities to help flesh out the main puzzle mechanic. Instead, it's the world that changes around you to keep things feeling new and inviting. Mushroom platforms bounce you up, thunderstorm areas keep platforms hidden, and so on. It complements the base game design and naturally feels like the correct progression for the concept. Its level design keeps on changing, evolving the core design, and truly fueling the curiosity and exploration of this beautiful 2D world. It ultimately caters to the completionists out there that want to not only collect all the main cubes, but all the anti-cubes and all the extra collectibles. It certainly asks a lot from the player to the point of giving you an anti-cube that can only be collected on a very specific day of the week. Sure, you can change your console's internal clock, but remembering this was a game announced back in 2007, it was a riveting concept. Despite being almost 10 years old at this point, Fez looks absolutely marvelous. It finds a great middle ground between a retro spy art style but implemented with a modern take on it. Without even mentioning the 3D perspective, it alone looks beautiful. Just about anywhere I pause in this game, I can take a screenshot and fully embrace it as my new default wallpaper. It's that pretty. Now with the actual mechanics in mind, it takes a whole new form of visuals. Seeing the change of perspective never got old even now playing this for my third time. The use of lighting, though I sort of wish more 3D lighting was used in retrospective, still looks good in a 2D view. Playing on Nintendo Switch, this game feels right at home as a handheld experience. I previously played this on the PlayStation Vita, and up until then, it was my favorite platform to play Fez on. But considering that a Switch just evolved and arguably perfected a lot of the Vita concept, I think Nintendo Switch is now the best way to play this. The sprite-based visuals look vibrant and sharp both in dock and portable mode, though I found myself actively going for my Switch Lite with this title. I didn't run into any frame rate issues that were originally launched with the Xbox 360 version, and the resolution is maxed out at 720p in handheld and 1080p in dock mode. Very much like its visuals, Fez's music is simply comforting. It has that lo-fi vibe to it, but with a mix of modern synth and retro themed music. If anything could capture the mix of lo-fi and retro game music, it's Fez, and it's absolutely delightful. The combination of stunning pixel art with almost therapeutic calming music, I mean, what else is there to say then? It's the vibe, and Fez is full of good vibes. In the same way a lot of us like getting cozy with some Animal Crossing before bed, that's been Fez for me this week, and sprinkling that hint of nostalgia for it with some good tunes, it just hit in the right way. Fez was and continues to be one of the masterpieces in the indie scene. While a lot of time has passed since it was originally released, that hasn't degraded the magic behind its presentation nor its mechanics. Its puzzles continue to tickle my brain despite me going through them completely a third time, which goes to show how well thought out they are, while being just complex enough to continue to provide a challenge even for veteran players like myself. If you've never played Fez before, you owe it to yourself to give it a try. And if you played it before and are thinking about double dipping, or triple dipping in my case, if you don't already own it on a portable device, I think it's worth it. What up, gamer homies? Thank you very much for watching my review. I hope you guys found it useful. Let me know what you think of Fez in the comments down below. Have you played it before, or will this be your first time giving it a shot? Part of me just wishes we'd get a surprise Fez 2 reveal again. It kinda sucks that it was cancelled, but replaying Fez again was a nice nostalgic trip at least. Anyway, I gotta get back to playing some more games. I just beat World of Demons on Apple Arcade, so maybe I'll review that next. I digress though. I'll see you in the comments down below or over on the Discord server.